Why hello, welcome to Vintage Soup. My name is Carrie and today we are going to take a very brief look at the career of horror icon Boris Karloff whilst I attempt to rustle up his favourite dish, guacamole.
So, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of pleasantly surprised that Boris Karloff, who seemed Mr. Typically English with tea and toast, was a fan of anything as exciting as Mexican food. And clearly this article also finds it surprising, thinking he'd prefer an exotic mixture from the foggy moors of Transylvania. For as long as there has been celebrities, there has been fans that obsess with their diets. Stretching back over the decades, there is an abundance of fan magazines and newspaper articles with printed recipes that were apparently the star's favourite, usually in a bid to make them seem more down to earth, or just a simple advertising feature. Anyway, while I put my apron on and wash my hands, hygiene, let me tell you a little bit about Boris Karloff.
The man who became Boris Karloff was born William Henry Pratt in Dulwich, London on the 23rd of November 1887. He was the youngest of 9 children and the family had a long association with the civil service. Tragedy would strike early when his mother died, leaving his older siblings to raise him. The family were of Anglo-Indian heritage, which, along with the fact he had a speech impediment, caused him to be bullied at school. In 1909, Billy travelled to Canada, quickly changed his name to Boris Karloff so not to embarrass his diplomatic family. He toured Canada for a decade before making his way to California. By day he was often working in construction sites and by night in front of a camera for low-budget, long-forgotten films. This gruelling schedule took its toll on his health, straining his back, a problem that would last for the rest of his life. While he got work, usually playing exotic-looking villains, he felt his chance had passed him by when he bumped into a fellow Englishman, James Whale, who exclaimed, "Your face has startling possibilities." Or at least that's one of the stories. In the summer of 1931, the cameras rolled on Frankenstein. Under the layers of makeup, which took 3.5 hours to remove, the 43-year-old Karloff gave a stunning performance. What could easily have been a grunting ogre was given a soul and pathos through Karloff's perfect performance. He's a child, but an inarticulate avenger. From being credited as a question mark in Frankenstein, Boris Karloff became an overnight star. His name was everywhere. His years of hardship were over. Universal immediately lined him up to star in a string of horror movies, including The Old Dark House, The Mummy, and The Raven. He would play the monster on screen 2 more times in The Bride of Frankenstein and Son of Frankenstein, and he would go on to work with rival, or friend, Bela Lugosi 8 times throughout his career. Even after leaving Universal Studios, work remained constant for Karloff. In 1941, he was a huge draw on Broadway when he performed in Arsenic and Old Lace. When Warner Brothers tried to make the movie adaptation, the studio did all they could to get the star, even offer up Humphrey Bogart as a replacement while the film was being shot. But the Broadway producers were like, no. In 1945, he worked with Lugosi for the last time in one of my personal favourites, The Body Snatcher, directed by Robert Wise. Karloff would be in constant employment well into the 1960s. Despite having a lisp, his wonderful voice was always in demand, most famously for The Grinch. Karloff is much respected and pretty well liked. Never giving up his British citizenship, he enjoyed tea, cricket, gardening, and entertaining kids. He was married 6 times, but to be honest, not many people know much about that. Apparently his wives didn't actually know how many of them there were. Karloff was noted for his great modesty. He was never ashamed of the monster that created his fame. In fact, he was grateful and said it was down to luck. He died at the age of 81 at home in London in 1969.
So, let's get on with making this guacamole, shall we? Now, first of all, for this recipe, you're going to need 2 avocados, 1 medium tomato, 1 small onion, 1 tablespoon of chopped chilies, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 2 tablespoons of sherry, a dash of cayenne, I use ground, and salt and pepper to season. First of all, peel the avocado and place it in a bowl. As you can probably tell, I've never actually filmed myself cooking because I've removed the ingredients beforehand, so I apologise, these will suddenly disappear throughout this video. Mash the avocado. Mash for all it's worth. Mash, mash, mash. Monster mash. Oh God. Add tomato, onion and chilies to the avocado. Then stir in the lemon juice, the sherry. Season with the cayenne, salt and pepper. And blend well. Believe me, blend well. It tastes not great otherwise. And voila! Guacamole that resembles cat food. You could serve this as a dip at your Halloween party, place in a pumpkin, or in the bin, it's up to you. Well, I'll be certainly serving this at my Halloween party, and I'm sure my guests will look as delighted as Boris looks here. Happy Halloween, everyone.